All right. So I'm so glad we finally figured out how to be on screen together again. I think the last time I saw you, I was in your couple workshop and I really loved that space with you and wanted to start off with a question for you, Jeff, which is that a lot of times when I'm working with couples and they come into my sessions, they're really overwhelmed and disconnected. And I really want for people to who are listening to this to hear like how to get themselves back into connecting with themselves and connecting with each other. So I'm sure you have a quick fix for that.
Um, yes, yes and no. Um, like it's completely context and case dependent, of course, but the best foot forward and like the most effective or efficient route, as I understand it, back into connection or connectivity with our person, if there's conflict happening in the space or between in the dynamic, is first regaining a sense of nervous system safety in self, connection to self.
Mm.
And then from there, as I begin to become um, more aware, more curious, more available to be with my own experience, that directly correlates with the part of my mind that is capable and even willing to tune into another person's experience and begin to have empathy with my person. So typically the first thing is to address like a primal sense of safety, and addressing overwhelm, addressing like whatever the big thing is, largely in the body, like tracking it somatically, communicating to the pieces of the mind that existed before language or cognition, like had a chance to come online, basically, that
Hmm.
everything is okay and that I'm safe and I can relax and I can actually be here and be present with myself. In doing so, then that creates more of space and availability for there to actually be either a share or a repair coaching or whatever needs to happen between the two people. Ultimately, the best foot forward is going to create a sense of safety in the body first.
Hmm. Yeah, so just when you were saying that, I think I was just imagining, because it's true getting on podcasts and just like, starting into let's have this conversation. It's an adrenaline rush. And, so I was just tracking what you were saying is where's my nervous system at? Where's the safety? What's happening here? And that does automatically just tapping into that. It's like, okay, I'm here right now, right? You
Mhm.
probably are here right now too in your own nervous system safety
Mhm.
check. Um, so I'm noticing that too. So the start of a session or the start of even people being together is just like noticing what's going on with themselves first.
Yeah, and this is like I kind of just like cookie cutter repeat the a process that I take myself through quite often, and and it's really helpful just in orienting
Mhm. Could
to
you
that
could you
sense.
do that process just like for us out loud, like how
Sure.
your language you language that for yourself?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So it's like legitimately, it's just like, okay, like what is alive right now? What am I experiencing right now? Like what am I noticing? And it can just start in felt sensations. Like what's happening in my body? What am I noticing in my body? What can I identify in my own system right now? That's the first thing is just legitimately just being like, what is alive and here and present, like, somatically, sensation wise, and without really even needing to make meaning out of it or anything along those lines, just bringing in a degree of observation and just allowing that to be and creating and making space for that. It's just like, okay, this is here. This is what I'm feeling right now. Maybe that's tightening in the chest, or maybe that's just sensations in my feet, or noticing, like ache in my shoulders or something along those lines, right? Just legitimately just body scanning for a moment.
Mhm.
Then the next aspect of that would be, okay, what emotions are present? Like what is here, even if it's subtle? In
Mhm.
which case, then my mind will go to, all right, there's a little bit of anxiety, or I'm feeling resentment, or XYZ. And even in being able to articulate or bring a type of, I guess, categorization of whatever I happen to be feeling, that also begins to create a sense of safety in observation. Because if you can observe an emotion or a pattern, then that's an indication that you are actually outside of it. You're watching it. You are bigger than this temporary thing, right? If I can watch this, if I can notice this, and if I can do that without actually responding or reacting to it, then I'm beginning to develop a sense of agency. And one of the ways in which we can immediately begin to influence a sense of safety is to bring someone or ourselves into a space of observation. Just like, what can I identify right now? Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
and yeah, so those are kind of like the two big things. Like, it's not like I do it in my personal practice, I'll do it in sessions. Just like, cool, what's happening for you right now? What are you noticing? Where are you at right now?
Hmm. Great. Okay. So that, and then reaching over to the other person, like how does the couple start connecting if each of them have done that? Is it?
Okay.
Hmm.
Right. So okay. So at this point, like I'm in a dynamic with two people, and they both like kind of map themselves out. Here's where I'm at. Like here's what I'm going on, and then it's kind of I'll also just be like, what's your like? Are you experiencing trigger? Is there a trigger level happening right now? Like, is there intensity? If you are experiencing anger or XYZ, what number is that at? Where's it at right now? And then another really good question is just to ask like, okay, how if you could rate it from one being like absolutely not off the table and 10 being like our souls are merged right now.
Yeah.
What is your connectivity meter with your person right now? How connected are you guys feeling with each other? How safe do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then that kind of sets a metric for how willing they are to, like to engage with each other. If there is empathy, if there is care, if there is kindness, if there's protectiveness, if there's, I mean, ultimately, and this kind of runs similarly to like kind of like a psychodynamic approach that I will do with people in the various aspects of their minds as well, which is just like, hey, you're noticing fear, or you're noticing this protective response, or you're noticing like a part of you that's holding shame. And then the question that I ask is like, how do you feel about that? Like treat it like a person, personify it. How do you feel about that? And so it's very similar with working with couples as well. It's like tune into your person and like what comes up for you? What are you experiencing right now? Is there openness or is there retraction? And like that's what we have to work with.
Uh-huh. Tune into your person. So once you finish your self-tuning, then you tune into your person. And
Mhm.
what does that do to your body?
Exactly. Yeah. Like just
Yeah.
tune into them and notice what comes up for you.
Hmm.
And yeah, and that gives a clear indication of like what's alive and what is actually available to be navigated in the moment.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great start of even at the end of a day meeting, like just meeting back together is just using that as a technique, like, you know, grounding yourself in the idea of your nervous system safety and then checking in with what goes on when you look over at them.
Mhm.
What
Yeah,
goes on in your
absolutely.
body.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's like I mean, and that's actually, I mean, I speak about it kind of like, okay, matter of fact and kind of simple, but that's actually kind of like a high level or like it's not an easy thing to do without practice. Like it wasn't even easy for me to just be like, wait, what am I noticing right now? Because the difference between me being able to just like calmly or objectively say, like, I'm noticing that I'm a little avoidant, or I'm like shutting down right now,
Right,
or
right.
I'm angry. Like just being able to cleanly name that and identify that before accidentally already having reacted away from that place of trigger or upset or whatnot. Because for a really long time, like I would be in the opposite side of that equation where it's like I had already acted or reacted from a triggered place before I realized that I was triggered. So
Ah, uh-huh.
yeah, so
Yeah.
developing the kind of like the metacognitive awareness of just like the curious examination of like what am I feeling right now? Can I even name what I'm feeling right now? Just that in of itself is it's a pretty high functioning like internal Jedi ninja move, I would say.
It is because it's so much easier to just say, okay, here's the five things I want to talk about today with you, instead of going into, wait, I have all this other information in my body that is about you.
Mhm.
And maybe we could start there and just notice firstly what's going on with me and how I have to get myself in a certain place. And there's a bunch to talk about there, right? Or share. And then
Mhm.
there's a ton to also investigate and explore around just your body's response reaction to your partner, right?
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like you can come into, and I've done this plenty of times, like both like, just personally in my relationship, as
Mhm.
well as just in session work with people where it's like, okay, I'm coming into session or I'm coming into this thing with like, here's all the things that I want to talk about. And yet, or a person comes into a session with me, like, here's all the things that I want to talk about. And in that, but before we even get there, we just ask like, okay, well, what's up for you right now? And something else is actually happening in the moment. And in attending to that, something completely different and a lot more vulnerable, a lot more real, a lot more intimate,
Yeah.
and a lot more potentially like beneficial gets to happen as well. And this is something that I just consistently remind myself, um, once again, personally, and with anybody that I work with or teach or anything along those lines. It's like what's
Right.
happening in the present moment. Like the present moment is always going to be the access point into the deepest part of yourself.
Right, right. And it gets you out of your head and into your body, heart,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Really pretty
Totally.
quickly too, to just reference yourself that way and reference your feelings about the other person that way. So you're not in your agenda anymore. You're in the present now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Right.
this is what's real right now. This is what's up right now.
The present experience, yeah. And
Hmm.
I think that's one of the things that I really want people to think about is this whole study of your own presence and your presence with people, like how that actually is way beyond like the projected state of how sometimes we normally interact. We come in with that. We've got an agenda. We know we know how we feel about that person, right?
Hmm.
Or we know how we feel about that person right now or today. But do we feel how we feel about that person? You know, and I think that's a whole another level of vulnerability, like you said, to explore. I like that
Hmm.
angle. I think it's a really deep angle for people to think about. Not only, you know, if you're with a practitioner, but just if you're with yourself.
Hmm.
You know, if you're waiting at a cafe and you don't want to look at your phone, check in with yourself, see how your nervous system is.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and it's like it's there's this really cool thing that happens as in like what I've experienced where the the more time that I spend checking in with myself and spending time getting like good at feeling the different
Hmm.
things that I typically would not like I did not like to use to feel, the better relationship that I've developed with like shame or fear or anger, for instance, and like the more that I can create capacity in my body, in my system, in my mind, in my whatever, to just actually be with those sensations and without reacting to them and kind of like soften and so forth. That really does like kind of serve as a template for how I will interact with anybody else who's experiencing the same emotions. So I have so much more space and understanding and
Um,
empathy for somebody who's having a fear response because I've developed a healthy relationship with my fear, right? Because like
yeah.
mirror neurons, it's like oftentimes what I'm experiencing in relationship to the other person, it's like I'm having a response to what is coming up in my body when I tune into them. And but like that's between me and me. That's my nervous system. Like that's and there's the whole case for there's the whole concept of like, okay, so if you project the bits and pieces of yourself that you don't want to feel and like and you demonize them in the people around you if you're not aware of it, if you don't understand how the psyche works like that, right?
Right.
And and yeah, and so once again, it's just like okay, if I'm experiencing something when I tune into you, then that is still going to be on me to attend to, like my relationship with what I have going on in my body. And as I do that, then there is more space and availability for me to be able to interact with the other person. Like maybe that is to be, in fact, be like, okay, check it. I need to set a boundary, or like we need to have a clearing conversation, or I need to be able to objectively name like some impact that has had that has been worn on by me by your actions. But in order to be able to do that from as clear of a place as possible to create like the highest possibility for actually successfully navigating that concept, then
Mhm.
it's going to be a really good idea for me to harmonize my body's response to whatever emotional things I have going on.
I love that. That I totally understood everything that you said. I mean, because I experience it the same way. I always am. You know, in the therapy world, it's called like transference, right?
Hmm.
Some form of transference, and to notice I come across that a lot, like what just happened. I feel all this like you know energy from this other person and I'm reading it now and
Hmm.
getting my own triggers from it now and I'm like hold up, like you know, let's get back to your own space. That isn't your thing, but you know, maybe my fear neurons are like love this, let's have a fear party because that person just made me feel afraid and I don't normally feel that way in this situation. So yes, got to throw up that boundary, remind myself to go back over here and respond, not react to this, right?
Mm.
Because it's just an illicit response, right? Is that kind of am I following you in some ways?
I mean, I think so. Like Because yeah, because I'm familiar with, I mean, I'm familiar with transference, and there's like, well, there's, it's interesting because it's, it's a slightly different dynamic when it's like when you're navigating conflict with your person.
Right.
Slightly, can be slightly.
Yeah.
It can also
Yes.
just be
Yes.
the exact same thing as well, right? Where it's
Right.
like I'm actually feeling your XYZ like it is as it is in my own body. Like your experience of fear is activating, but my take on that is that it's not so much that we are taking on other people's XYZ, it's more along the lines of it is reminding us and activating an existing thing that we already have going on in ourselves.
Right.
Um, but that's as I've also just played with it and practiced and gained experience just as a practitioner as well. Then I also do like I also have the kind of an emotional hygiene regimen where I'll just track like, okay, how many times, during this day or in this last week did I feel someone else's painful emotions as if they were in my own body and how many times did I take that away with me after session? That doesn't really happen very often. More often than not, like I will experience catharsis with people. Like I will like experience like healing. I'll cry with people in session for sure. And it's just like it's one of the best parts of my job. It's very rare for me to experience like to have an app reaction like in session with somebody where where I get jarred or my some sort of unprocessed scar tissue that I didn't realize I had
Yeah.
gets activated for me. But and however, in intimate relationships, in like with the people closest to me, those are the instances where I feel the other person the most. And that's those historically were where the most transference would happen for me, where it's like, like, okay, now I'm feeling like your fear and your pain and everything underneath it all at the same time. And if I have any internalized shame or I have anything going on as well, then all of that's just going to be too overwhelming for me. And now I'm going to start snapping and get triggered.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, and I totally am relating to what you're saying. And I think for me it's a little bit opposite. Is mine is more like reading outside my personal relationships than
Mhm.
reading inside my personal relationships. But I totally understand that the more that you can access what is that part of yourself picking up and and hear that and hear yourself reminded of like, oh yeah, that's an old emotion or that's my shame or that's whatever, and being able to clear that, then you have much more presence with the other person to not be in that triggered space with that person. But maybe you also have to take a break if you're triggered to clear it for a little bit.
It's always, I mean, yeah, I think it's, I'd say, I mean, this is me potentially just being a little bit biased,
Mhm.
like a dentist telling everybody like, yeah, you should brush your teeth. But like, no, I would say like, yeah, like, like process your emotions hygienically whenever you can, for sure.
Exactly, yeah. And I also think there's this other part of it, which is that that I'm noticing in my work is that when people have done a lot of their work on their trauma,
Hmm.
and there's that concept of we're kind of a little bit off our subject, but I'll just go with this for a little bit longer. When we find our like wound mate or people that kind of share that trauma with us, our toxic, whatever you want to call it, partnership or something,
Uh-huh.
if once we've done a lot of that work, I think there's also this potential to really find healing with people who aren't triggering you. Like there's really this whole space of healing that's there.
Uh-huh.
Um, is if you can get out of your wound, almost like get out of your way and stay in your presence and do your clearing of yourself and knowing what parts of you are showing up,
Hmm. Hmm.
that there is this whole healing connection that opens up. But some of it has to be this receptivity that you are able to get yourself in a space where you're seeing beyond your wound, right? Or experiencing beyond your wound to
Hmm.
the other person. Does
Hmm.
that make
Yeah.
sense how I said that?
Kind of. I think so. I think I'm picking it up because like once again, just like in my own experience, like I went through a series of some of the more like burlier and uncomfortable experiences of healing in like just relationships in general.
Mhm.
And as I was like really getting my feet underneath me and learning truly how to take care of my energy and my emotional body and my mental health and all of those things, and And there's, they call it the school of hard knocks, I guess, where it's just like there's nothing more powerful and intense than, than going through just romantic XYZ, like where all of your attachment wounding and your abandonment stuff gets caught up. And it's like, and then my unprocessed aspects are going to completely resonate with somebody else's unprocessed aspects. And then there is the trauma bond, or you call it your dark angel or the twin flame or whatever you want to call it, where it's like,
Mhm.
it's so enticing and intoxicating, and at the same time, also can be incredibly like volatile or jarring as the relationship ends. And I had a couple of those, and then eventually, like as I just continued to, to clean up my timeline and get more integrated, then I noticed eventually like a shift started to happen, and like it was not even a shift started to happen, a shift did happen where I went from after having like going through a really jarring relational experience, then the next, like I cleaned up whatever was active for me in the present moment. Like once again, taking advantage of like, okay, what's up for me here and now? Let's take care of that so that doesn't have to happen again. And then, yeah, and then the next relationship that I got into, the next series of relationship, it was literally like a flip, or I mean, a switch just got flipped. And all of a sudden, I went from having jarring experiences of growth to incredibly like nurturing and nourishing experiences of growth, where it's just like, okay, cool. Like the lessons.
Exactly what I was
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, the lessons do actually get to become lighter and more
Yeah.
enjoyable.
And that doesn't mean it's the vulnerability isn't scary or interesting to explore. Like it's a new, sometimes it's unexplored air, you know.
Still terrifying. Still absolutely terrifying. Like, like the first time that, I mean, the first time that, I mean, I've been in my current relationship for coming up on 7 years. We've been married for almost 2 years. And it's like definitely the healthiest, like most nurturing, most integrated, just like communication, like across the board, just the safest relationship that
Right.
I've ever been in.
Mhm.
And the first time that we both told each other that we loved each other, we were terrified, like absolutely terrified. I'm like, "Are you scared?" She's like, "I'm so
Yeah.
scared." I'm like, "Yeah, of course. It's vulnerable. It's like regardless,
Yeah.
it's always going
But
to be vulnerable."
especially with the safety net of there isn't going to be this trauma upset, because that's also sometimes such a safe distract, and it's unsafe, but it's a safe distractor. Okay, at least we're going to do that. We're not going to like, open up our hearts. Like that's even scarier, right?
Yeah.
So so if you're crossing over that line and saying like, okay, I'm really becoming this person that can do that now, and it is terrifying and rewarding at the same time, because it's
Mhm.
it's a different it's a different, more beautiful experience not to be in conflict.
For sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
As
it's like,
scary as it is.
I mean, it's like, and I would say that oftentimes people stand to gain and benefit the most from, intentionally moving towards the things that are scary at times. And so the
Right.
battlefield of love is definitely one of those things.
Right. I see that a lot in my clients who are recovering from divorce and starting to date, and if they're really intentional about their own work. And I'm not saying that not everybody is, because usually people are trying really hard to get healed and to get into healthy relationships. But I notice that they switch who they're attracted to at some point, and not be attracted to that habitual person that they fight with or they feel neglected by or something like that. And they
Yeah.
start going towards when they feel like it's safe. Their nervous system feels safer.
Yeah. It's like, and that makes a lot of sense. Where if a person's had a long-standing pattern with a specific, flavor of relationship, and
Mhm.
there's been a lot of conflict, there's been a lot of turmoil, there's been a lot of da 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 da, but they've experienced it more often than not, then there is something that kind of registers as familiar there. And familiar, like for the most part, a lot of people will tend to move towards what is familiar because it feels safe, because it feels
Right.
safer than exploring like the unknown until
Mhm.
there has been sufficient and like a sufficient amount of excavating and cleaning of like healing and so forth, where there's a part of us that actually feels safe enough to explore the unknown and like, yeah, but maybe like what if is on the other side of this. And yeah, and I just like I've seen it many times. I've experienced it in myself. It's like as I attend to my nervous system and
Mhm.
it becomes different, then it starts to resonate with a different type of person. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And like symbolically, it's like that is maybe that separation of having to be in your own space for a while to figure out what your nervous system is actually reading,
For
you know,
sure.
and that you might be more attracted to the habitual, right? Because that feels like a known versus, hey, I have to really sit with like, if is it a known or is it a nervous system upset feeling that I'm feeling? Like, what is it? What is it?
Hmm.
And then being drawn to, and so that is kind of where we started in our conversation is the first is the checking in with your own nervous system and your
Hmm.
own safety, right? Before you start integrating with another person.
Sure.
So there is
Yeah.
this really, really strong need to be with yourself in health, in your own emotional health.
Yeah. Yeah. To be able to bring the internal stance of like fundamentally, I'm all right. Like I'm going to be all right, regardless, like when I'm on my own, when whatever, being able to bring that sense of inner connectivity and like stability is that's a sexy nervous system to cozy up next to. It's like it's really magnetic. It's just like, no, no, no,
Right.
I'm chilling, like I'm good. And this is like, once again, like I noticed this in my relationship, like very early on, there was a moment when like the different aspects of us were coming up and my wife was or I mean the girl that I was beginning to have feelings for at the time
Uh-huh.
is like, okay, I'm gonna take some space now. Okay, I'm gonna take some space. And I was like, cool. And she looked at me and was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Like, take all the space you want. I love space. Like, I'll be right here. I'm fine. I'll be right here. But like, I'm chilling." And she was like, I like that."
Right.
And
That
that's
is compact. I can handle,
for sure.
yeah, I can attach to that.
Yeah, and a different version of me like would not have responded like that. Like years before that, I would have been like, wait, 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 okay, like did I do something wrong? Or I don't know. I would have
Yeah,
could
I'll
have
do anything.
probably
Yeah. Hmm.
had like an anxious thing or maybe like retracted even harder. But like as opposed to just being able to be like, yeah, like I'm good. Like I'm not, it's not too much and I don't need to come after and like I'm good here. And um yeah, and that did come as a result of just learning how to be with myself and spend
Right.
time,
Right. And
solo.
it's one of the recipes. Like if there is a moment of discontent in the relationship, take some space. Like take a day, miss each other. Like come on back and then and then try again to stay regulated. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, it also it depends on the different flavors of like the attachment
Right.
styles that
Right.
are
Exactly.
active. Like, but yeah, I would say that, I mean, for instance, like once again, speaking from my experience, it has been my task in conflict and relationship to stay in connection a little bit longer than I typically would because I my protective thing was habituated to like pull away and take space. So it's
Right.
so the most juice for me is to lean into connection and connectivity just a little bit more, and then for someone who experiences the opposite end of that dynamic, um, like where they find safety in proximity, then the juice for them would be to like allow just a little bit more space and create capacity in your nervous system for that.
Right. Right. And that is after creating capacity, right? That is making sure that capacity is created. So it's not
Yeah.
like this abandonment, you know, very over attached, clingy feeling like the back and forth of that is so offsetting, but
Yeah.
creating capacity to be able to do that. And if you don't have to do that, you don't have to do that. If it's just a
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
taste,
If you don't have
right?
to do it, then great. Good
You don't have to
job.
do it.
Like, good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, well
Yeah. Good
done.
job. Everyone's
Uh-huh.
tolerating things well and can get themselves back into regulating. That's great.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah. Y'all, yeah, you got raised right. Good job.
yes, a nice secure person over there.
Mhm.
Um, so going back to it, so we have this thing with individuals too, like coming into working on themselves, like this whole thing of working on themselves. I don't know if that's the right word because it always feels like a job, but maybe tending to themselves. When
Mhm.
people come into session and they're overwhelmed and they're not really centered in why they're there or they're there for a million hundred reasons,
Mhm.
how would you approach the individual different from the couple?
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of
Individuals.
people work on their relationships by working on themselves, right? I mean,
Right.
everyone does in a way.
I mean, for the most part, I tell people often, like, yes, for sure, absolutely. Like, there's things that you're only going to be able to do in connection with each other, right? Like, there's things
Right.
that are only going to be able to happen in connection with each other. You got to be able to put a reassuring hand on so and so. Like, there's certain things that we must attend to
Mhm.
in like attachment wounding that can only be healed in connection with another person, for sure. You need another nervous system for that, but. And there's also aspects that only are going to be able to be done individually as well. So, and it's a little bit, it's slightly different because there's potentially, I mean, depending on the personality of who we're working with, but there's less pieces in the dynamic to track. I guess it's just like, okay, it's just this person right now. There's not this person and the other person and their union as well as its own third entity, because that's basically
Yeah.
what you're doing when you're working with couples. But so as far as attending to a person who's coming in overwhelmed, like that's like a little bit of a just, I mean, kind of a similar process, but at the same time, like I'll just map them out, be like, okay, hi, how are you doing? Like, can you explain to me what's going on? Um, like where are you at? And truly it's like kind of like there's a pattern of inquiry involved with just reaching out and seeing where another person is. And then based on that, like and just using an example, I guess, uh, then sometimes it can be as simple as inviting somebody into observation of their body, like I talked to, like I mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
Other times I'll just lead someone in an EFT session and like immediately and just see if I can't neuro-linguistically help them access a sense of observation and safety in themselves with some just guided affirmations and like coded prompts in a sense, because the unconscious mind can be extremely receptive to conscious command at times.
Yes. Yeah.
And so simply having somebody repeat the statement like while tapping, um, that I am completely safe in my body right now. Like there's so many different cues and commands in the lexicon of that sentence. Like
Yeah.
I safe, my body, all of those are going to be having the different levels of the mind referencing. Like, okay, wait, say it's going to make me think like what's safety? And every time I say I, that's going to make me think about myself. It's like the consciousness is referencing itself. Like my body, like immediately, like the mind's like, wait, my body. And so and I've started off a session like that. I've started off sessions like that. Like just before we do anything else, just tap on your chest and repeat that statement for a second. Or repeat the statement, I am completely safe
Yeah.
in my body. And the other person just immediately starts crying and
Hmm.
down regulating without realizing, because they did not realize that they were in a survival response. They were overwhelmed, they were stressed, like they were having a fight or flight or dissociative or fawn or some sort of like survival response. And simply referencing the possibility of safety to their body like completely took them out of it. And then catharsis happens, emotion happens, and then from there, and it's like, okay, cool, you have all of your mind or much more of your mind online now. Like now we can talk. Like, how's it going? What's up?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, that was a really good description of like the relational piece that needs to be there, right? And the third entity of the relationship. And then there's the individual that actually also needs to um have space to work on some of their things,
Mhm.
and even just being able to calibrate enough to have a conversation, but just giving them that little guidance to calibrate initially is such a gift. And even just to do it throughout the day, if you suddenly realized you got triggered, it's just that, I'm safe in my body is another way to just, bring yourself back into your somatic being. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, it's really effective, and it's not always effective. Like it doesn't work
Right,
all the time,
right.
and but that doesn't but that actually that's incredibly helpful information as well. Because if a person is tapping on their chest and being like, I am completely safe in their body, and that feels like absolute utter like
Yeah,
crap to them, it's just like
right,
that is a
right.
lie. Like in some part of their mind, it's like that is not true. Then it's like, aha, okay. Thank you for speaking up. We have identified the part of your mind that does not feel safe. It's like, I feel completely safe in my body. And then some part of me is like, that's a lie. And it's like, okay, now I have an idea of who I'm working with and like the part of me that actually can feel safer.
Yeah,
So, so if that doesn't work or if that isn't having an effect, then I mean, then I would invite like, okay, first of all, like check your physical surroundings. Like, are you actually physically safe right now? Is there an
right.
immediate threat to your
Right.
because do something about that. But if you're just sitting in your car, like while it's off and you're not driving
Yeah.
and you're saying I am completely safe in my body and that still feels like a lie, then that brings my mind to a place that is worthy of investigating and curious. Like, oh, okay, like I actually don't feel safe. Like, what's going on here? Like, what is the experience that actually can be validated here and taken care of? Because if that
Mhm.
doesn't feel honest for me to say, then that's an indication that something else feels true. And like, I want eyes on that because that means I can do something about it.
Right. And you're with the person who can maybe help you so you can actually get some perspective on what it is or
Yeah.
more engagement around that. So that's an interesting thing because it's really informing. If that doesn't work, that statement doesn't work, it's really informing
Hmm.
um, to investigate.
Yeah.
Um, what else did I want to mention to you? Oh, I wanted to ask you about your EFT tapping and where that inspiration came from. Like when did you start and a little bit about your background?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I started out of necessity, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was in 2012. And I had just gotten myself into a really, really, really bad place. And like dark night of the soul, healer's crisis, like non-functioning, just like past depression. Like it was bad, real bad. And I tried everything that I could to get myself out of that, and nothing really seemed to be working. And and then eventually I landed upon EFT and like took part in a group session that I just happened upon a group session and followed along with what was being taught there and had an amazingly emotional cathartic experience after this really long period of just not being able to feel anything. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll let me reach out to this practitioner and see if I can't get a one-on-one session. And I did, and just completely had my mind blown
Hmm.
and just processed so much in such a short amount of time. And at the end of it, the woman who is now like eventually became a mentor, eventually became a teacher, and now she's a good friend, and we collaborate and work and create like retreats together now.
Nice.
So her name's Sonia Sophia, and she's the founder of the Sophia School of Living Arts. And anyway, so at the end of our first session, she was like, "I think you might be really good at this," and she offered me a spot in her practitioner training, and I went through it, and it completely just about faced the direction of my life, and I got so much of
Wow.
my mind and my life and my energy back, like literally cleaned up and healed so much in a very short amount of time. And at the end of that, I was just like, amazing. This is amazing. I never thought that I would ever be allowed to feel this good. Um, and and she's like, you have a job if you want. I'm like, I'll never, I'm never gonna do what you do. I just want to feel better, like, yeah, I need money, but whatever. I'm not gonna talk in front of, hundreds of people. I'm not gonna like, try like train practitioners or like host retreats or anything along those lines or like have clients and like, all of that's happened at this point. But at that
Yeah.
point, I was just like, I just want to feel better. And but at the end of it, I was just like, I get to experience this level of peace and clarity and safety all the time. It's my baseline now, and I can share this with somebody else if I want to. Like, okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
And initially I just wanted to continue getting better because I had a lot to clean up and I wanted to, I just wanted to feel good and safe and like, get my life back on track. But eventually, like I just had a knack for it. I needed to learn it like incredibly well to get myself out of the place that I was at. And I also just have a little bit of I don't know, an interesting, like my own little neurodivergent mind pattern recognition thing where I'm like, I'm really good at this as well. I'm really good at hearing the things that other people don't say, or I'm just so sensitive that it's easy for me to put myself in someone else's position and then my mirror neurons activate and I can feel like, what that would feel like for me to be in whatever they have going on. And then it becomes very natural and organic to just be like, hey, do what I do and say what I say. I'll walk you through this because here's how I've walked myself through the same thing so many times. And
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I feel like is your gift because I've seen you do the EFT tapping a lot of times. So I'm hoping that you'll do a little bit here. Um, and because I just think that these are the skill sets and the tools that people can use and find for themselves. And it's like an amazing relief and experience of healing. So I'm glad you found it, and I'm glad I've heard it from you too. And one of the things that I was hoping that you would apply it to is that I think going back to the couple, because February is what love month, and so we either are assessing our relationship or we're or we're, really working on our other relationships and or our relationship with ourselves, absolutely baseline.
Hmm.
So sometimes I think I see a lot of people having a hard time being present, like we talked about a little bit earlier when we were offline. Of course, social media, phones are always with us. We're, distracted. That's sort of becoming the norm. But especially like at stress and days and work days, coming back to your inner circle, coming back to the people that you love and care about, to
Hmm.
even if you've spent your day like you and I do, listening to people, healing people, that that is there a little bit of energy or a little bit of presence that you can bring back to your loved ones, right? At the end of a day. And how do you love and accept yourself if you can't, right? So
Right.
I wonder if you could just pull us through a tapping for presence.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Tapping for presence at the end of a long day, and I'm coming back and getting ready to, connect with like my person, my people, my family, my friends, my community, like whatever. And I've just been at it and working. Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
so for anybody who is watching this and or watching the recording or however this shows up for you, I'm going to invite you to gently tap on your chest,
Mhm.
just like this, in the center of your chest, slowly and rapidly, and take a long, slow, deep breath. Uh,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to spend too much time teaching like the intricacies of like you don't need to know about what like the neurobiological XYZ that's happening right here to be able to
Yeah.
perceive or experience the benefits of it. Like, there's plenty of informational content out there. Instead, what I'm going to invite you to do is to take another long, slow, deep breath and put yourself in the position or in the shoes of you who is wrapping up an extended period of effort, be that with work, be that with whatever, and you're tired or exhausted or depleted or not resourced or whatever. You're carrying a day around with you and it's still there. So follow along and do what I do and say what I say. I'm going
Mhm.
to invite you to repeat these, like you who are listening and watching the recording. I'm going to invite you to repeat what I say out loud
Mhm.
to give it a fair assessment to see how powerful this can be. It's still powerful when you do it. I mean, it still works when you do it silently, but like to truly like give it a fair assessment, like try
Mhm.
repeating it out loud.
Okay.
And yeah, and
I'll be
Susan,
your audience.
and you don't have to, Susan, but I will create the space
Okay,
for
that's
it.
fine. Mhm.
And also feel free to change anything that I say to match your experience more accurately, make it true for you, even if it's the opposite of what I'm saying, that's completely fine. Like I'm giving you suggestions. It's like kind of like lines to a script, and your job is to play you. So just say it how you would say it.
Mhm.
And also give yourself permission to experiment by repeating something that I suggest to then ascertain whether or not it feels true in your body. Because if it feels true, you're gonna know. And if not, you don't have to worry about it. And you might experience laughing or yawning or crying or burping or farting or tremors or hot or cold flashes as you go through this. And that's all normal and natural. It's just how mammals discharge emotional energy from the nervous system. And if so, then you want that. You might not experience any of that. You might just yawn a lot and then feel
Mhm.
better at the end. So anyways, taking a long, slow, deep breath and imagining that you are transitioning out of an extended period of effort and you're coming back into connection with your people and you're wanting a reset. So follow me. Even though
Even though
I am feeling,
I am feeling,
and then just think about how you're feeling. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling worried. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling like whatever it is, just name it. I'm choosing to notice myself and the way that I feel.
choosing to notice myself by the way that I feel.
Big breath, big sigh of relief. Notice yourself in the way that you feel. Just tune into your body. Notice what's there. Tapping the eyebrows. Even though
Even though
I'm feeling stressed,
stressed,
anxious,
anxious,
tired,
tired,
worried,
worried,
whatever it is, go ahead and say it. Tapping the temples. I give myself the possibility
I give myself the possibility.
Tapping the cheekbones, that I am completely safe in my body right now.
I am completely safe in my body right now.
Take a deep breath, release a big sigh, big physiological sigh of relief. Tapping underneath the nose. It's safe for me
It's safe for me
to notice myself
to notice myself
and the way that I feel.
and the way that I feel.
Tapping underneath the lip, big breath, big sigh of relief. Ah, good.
Mm.
Tapping the collarbones. This day that I just had.
This day that I just had.
Go ahead and think about the day that you just had. Run it through your head. Think about the interactions. Think about the things that you took on. Think about the emotions that stand out to you, and just run the day through your head. And notice what comes up in your body as you do so, and let yourself feel. Tapping the center of the chest. I forgive any part of me still holding on.
I forgive any part of me that's still holding on.
Front of the ribs. It's safe for me
It's safe for me
to release
to release
anything that I've been holding on to.
anything that I've been holding on to.
Taking a deep breath, releasing a big sigh, relax the eyes, relax the jaw, soften the palate all the way down to the belly. Tapping the side of the ribs. I acknowledge any part of me
I acknowledge any part of me
still holding on,
still holding on,
still bracing,
still bracing,
still trying to figure it out,
still trying to figure it out,
still trying to imagine what's going to happen next.
still trying to imagine what's going to happen next.
This part of me always tracking
This part of me always tracking
that doesn't quite feel safe to relax.
doesn't quite feel safe to relax.
Tapping the wrist, taking a deep breath, and noticing if any of that resonated for you, and bring so much empathy and compassion to whatever part, vigilant part of your mind that is always online, trying to figure out what's going to happen, what's next, what's the thing to do, how am I not safe, what's the bad thing that's going to happen. Attempting to create safety by staying one step ahead of everything that could go wrong. And then tapping the thumb. Taking a deep breath, releasing another big sigh. I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
I'm open to loving and accepting myself.
Even though I'm so good at doing this,
Even though I'm so good at doing this,
tapping the pointer finger. Even though I'm so good at anticipating,
even though I'm so good at anticipating,
tracking,
tracking,
taking care of them,
taking care of them,
tapping the middle finger, thinking about any anxieties, any worries, any open loops, any unfinished business, any responsibilities, anything that is still taking up bandwidth in your system. And just acknowledging that and letting yourself feel. And tapping the outside of the ring finger. I allow myself the possibility
I allow myself the possibility
of getting my mind back,
of getting my mind back,
getting my body back
my body back.
inside of the pinky. It's safe for me
It's safe for me
to put the things down for a moment
to put the things down for a moment
so I can just be here and now.
so I can just be here and now.
Tapping the karate chop, big breath, make some noise as you let it out. I'm open to loving and forgiving myself,
I'm open to loving and forgiving myself,
even though I've gotten really good at doing this all the time.
even though I've gotten really good at doing this all the time.
I forgive any part of me,
I forgive any part of me
tapping the top of the head, that feels sad
that feels sad,
or is giving myself a hard time
giving myself a hard time
for not being more present with the people that I love.
for not being more present with the people that I love.
Taking a deep breath, releasing a big sigh. Hmm. Tapping the eyebrows. I'm ready
I'm ready
to be here now.
to care now.
I'm ready to clean this up.
I'm ready to clean this up.
Tapping the temples. Taking another deep breath, noticing any place in your body that you're holding on to. Stickiness, bracing, contraction, and just allowing whatever is there to be there. You're not changing anything, we're not finding anything, we're not pushing anything away, just allowing yourself to feel as much of your nervous system as you can. and tapping the cheekbones. And take another deep breath and release a big sigh.
Mhm.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to release the overwhelm,
to release the overwhelm,
tapping underneath the nose, release the pressure and the stress,
pressure, and the stress.
tapping underneath the lip. I gave myself permission
I give myself permission
to feel safe to be alive again,
to feel safe to be alive again,
to feel safe to be in connection again.
to be safe to be in connection again.
This actually gets to give me energy.
This gets to give me energy.
This actually gets to feel good.
This actually gets to feel good.
Tapping the collarbones, taking a deep breath, sending another big wave of relief and reassurance through your body. And then just bring a degree of curiosity to what you're experiencing.
Mhm.
Go to the center of the chest, and I'm ready to be here now.
I'm ready to be here now.
I'm choosing to be here now.
I'm choosing to be here now.
I like to be here now.
I like to be here now.
Cool. And send a big wave of appreciation through your body. Bring some gratitude up in there. And then tap yourself all over.
Okay.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, you can use that recording or that little snippet as many times as you want and put it into a practice that you can use basically anytime that you're moving from one task into the other and you just want to get a little bit more gas in your tank. That ought to take the edge off and create some resource for you.
I love that. It's the, reach over. Now you can connect. You did something to take care of yourself, to
Hmm.
check in, to do more than that, to balance out. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great. Really,
yeah.
really great work that you're doing with the EFT tapping and the couples and the individuals. So I really appreciate your insight and your wisdom. It's been more than great to talk to you about all these things.
Mm.
Um, and I'm just glad that I can stay in connection with you and your work. It's been really refreshing and I love it. So thank you so much for all of
You're
that.
so welcome for sure. Thank you so much for having me, Susan. It's been really good talking to you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you too. Okay, so I'll see you next time.
All right.
Okay. All right. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.